So I can claim many friends and family members who are LGBT. Maybe it's because we live in the San Francisco community. All of them have a very strong support network. They seem to be accepted by all of their friends, which are a mix of um, hetero and homosexual community and all the other names which I'm being taught now, whether they be theys or thems. My son is very good about teaching me these things, so I use the right pronouns. Um, I know they feel supported in their community, and I welcome them into my home and feel close uh, to them. There's no judgment involved whatsoever.
I have several friends who are either lesbian or gay, and I think that um, one of the more impactful one of the more impactful events for me was when two friends were looking to move from the city to our suburb, and they asked me, "What's it like for gay people in your town?" And I was really stunned by that because I thought, why should it be any different? But they were really concerned about that because they were moving from a pretty progressive city into a suburb that they didn't really know very well. So that made me aware that people do struggle with these kinds of huge life decisions where, um, we wouldn't be aware of that if our friends didn't talk to us about it. I just felt that that was a really an eye opener for me, that they would be questioning whether or not they could move to a place that they liked just because they thought that they would not be accepted as a gay couple.
I don't have any families that I'm aware of that identify in the community, but I do have friends. I have a really close friend now who does, and he's always identified himself that way ever since I've known him. I'm sure he's had issues growing up, but he has a very good support system at home. His parents are very accepting, so I think that helps him a lot. I did have a friend in middle school whose parents were not as accepting. They did end up kicking him out of their home. Um, and um, and up till now, I don't think they've ever talked. They refused to talk to him. So he's kind of had to deal with his identity and figuring out who he is and kind of on his own, which I'm sure growing up is really tough. And I'm sure even now is tough with society. But
In regards to family members or friends who are part of the LGBTQ plus community, I don't personally have friends or family members that have been involved in hate crimes, thank goodness, nor do I have family members or friends that have committed hate crimes against members of that community. However, my friend who has transitioned from male to female, who was my skater friend and teammate, she was expressing that the road to full transition was a very difficult one. That she was very ostracized from her own family when she first told her family that she wanted to make that transition from male to female. And it was very difficult. Luckily, her partner, who happens to be bisexual, did not care whether my friend was male or female. She just wanted her to be happy. So they were actually a couple when she was a he. And then now that she's a she, they're still together because the partner's bisexual. And she's like, I don't care. I just want you to be happy. And I love you for who you are as a person. But I know that my friend who did go through that transition had a very difficult time with her own immediate family. But as far as a hate crime, I luckily, like I said, my friends and family have not been involved in a hate crime nor have committed them. But watching the news over the years and hearing about so many people who have had horrible things happen to them because of their sexual identity and how they present themselves, it just saddens me. So I'm hoping that, again, with more education, with more understanding, with the generations that are coming up that are really more aware and more accepting, that we won't have that happen.
I think it's a very brave decision to make for some to come out to family and friends who people fear will not be supportive of their lifestyle choices. It's unfortunate, and it's sad, and sometimes people have to give up their family in order to be true to themselves. But the bottom line is that to live a life of duplicity is a sham, and you never feel like a whole person. So I would say find a community that supports you if your own community doesn't, because there's enough love out there for you to find that you deserve, and find it, seek it.
I think somebody who's trying to come out to their family and is having difficulty expressing that probably feels fearful that they'll be rejected. And I think that there's, in some cases, probably a very real possibility of that happening. And so if somebody confided that to me, I would make sure that they had a friend and a supporter, preferably an adult supporter, a teacher or somebody else, a counselor who could back them up and run interference for them, because they do run a risk of being rejected in some way or another. But I would also counsel them to have this conversation with their family as soon as possible and to be honest about it. And that's why they need the adult backup, because if they are rejected in some way, they need to know that they have somebody to go to who will help them and protect them and be a friend to them. That being said, I just wish that every family would have conversations about sexuality and gender issues right off the bat, starting when a child is 2 years old. And that would make it so much easier for all of us to accept the natural diversity in humans. And it would be a great gift to people not to have to worry about that as something that's going to trouble them. I don't think that anybody should be troubled by being who they are. So I'd say start the conversation early.
Something that I probably would say is definitely try to find an ally or some type of support system. Sometimes that's not always with your family. Sometimes it's with friends or with people you may not know. So I would definitely try to find that out first, and kind of share what you're thinking. And maybe kind of brainstorm ways to approach your family about it. I think families will take it differently depending on what their beliefs are. So definitely try to find some type of ally that will accept you and will listen to you on how you feel and where you identify.